Good morning, everyone. Annette here, also known as Grandma D. Today we have a little bit different video, similar to my unboxing, review, and putting together of my raised garden beds outside. I purchased a pantry cabinet from Wayfair, and as we go through the video, you'll see pictures up at the top, stills, or in between segments showing what I'm talking about. But this is the cabinet that I purchased from Wayfair. It's a pretty tall pantry cabinet with a drawer across the center, and I've got it all spread out here in my dining room, all the pieces laid out. It came in 2 boxes. i.e. the still photo that you see there. And because it came in 2 boxes, they were very well marked. The first box says box 1 of 2, the second box said 2 of 2. They came on 2 separate days, which was fine, you know, because it's a really heavy box and it was a lot for the driver. They came UPS. And I've put together cabinets like this before. My 2 cabinets that are in my kitchen, I got those from Home Depot, and they're a different brand, but I did put those together. They were just like this, and you know, things are getting better and better how they're marked, and the pieces and the directions. And I had read on the Wayfair website, people were saying how well the pieces were marked, and I was grateful for that, because I can clearly see that this is not going to be a hard thing to put together. But some people said it took like 4 to 6 hours to put it together, and I was like, so I'm going to show you what everything looks like. So these are the pieces that came with it. Everything I have set out, and I tried to organize them by number. They're pretty well marked, and everything has numbers on the top. And I tried to put them in some semblance of order. And over here on the table, these are the smaller pieces all laid out, starting with piece number 3. 1 and 2 are over there, all the way through, and there's a break here because, again, they're larger pieces over there. And then we're going through, and then this is the last of the numbered pieces. This is all the hardware, and it came in 2 bags, in these plastic bags, and it came in this box with this on it sticking out of the box, which is an indicator to you what box the hardware is in. And each package is clearly marked. And I started with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N is the handles, O, P, Q, R, R, S, T, and these little guys here are part U. So, yeah, and I was pretty happy with how everything was laid out and marked, which is really helpful. And this is just a tool for putting stuff together. So we'll have a look at the manual. So here's the manual for the cabinet. And they say right here that in English it came 2 boxes in total, and this was in 1 box. And then this other parts list here, have to excuse my fan, it's July in Michigan, it's pretty hot here. So there's the other parts list, and that was everything that was in box 2. So now this manual is pretty typical, like a lot of other ones. And then you have your parts list. There's a lot of parts to this thing. I was like, oh crud. But you know, a lot of it is hardware, so that's okay. So I cannot find in the book where it calls for any additional tools other than this, which I find kind of hard to believe. So I am not turning all those by hand. I have my drill motor. I replaced all the doorknobs in my house, and after I was all done, I'm like, I should have videoed that. Because they're really old doorknobs. They were the kind that don't have an external screw. You have to take like a little, they call it a rosette plate off, or pull it loose, and then there's a little thing on the knob which you got to push into this little hole, and then on these particular ones, the knob, just the outer knob itself, pulls off. Then you can pull the rosette off, then you can take the screws out. I had to Google it. It took me like 30 minutes to figure out how to get those knobs off, but once I did, bing, bang, boom, all three of them popped right off. So I replaced my old beat up gold doorknobs with some really beautiful pewter ones. Okay, I thought I would just take a second and show you how these little cams work. This is what they look like. They have a place where you can put your drill or your screwdriver in the top. And these guys, part A, these ones, these first screws that I put in, the head goes inside the cam here, and then you turn it and it locks everything in place. So that's how those work. Now, I've got this one all assembled. This one is all assembled. I got this piece on here with the front of the hinge. Here's the front of the door. And the cams are in the holes here, and then when you pop this on, you turn the cam and it locks everything in place. So we're going to do the other one. This is the other piece, and I have these two dowels that have to go. You have to put a dowel here and then a dowel down here on this end right here, and these will lock into the cams. So there, hopefully that's good so you can see what's happening. Now this is the back of the door, and here's my piece, and I'm gonna line everything up, line up my dowels and all my pieces here, and then it's gonna snap right into place just like that. Then I take my drill and this one is not. Oh, I know, because that cam is not straight. So there you go. And the cam pulls everything in and locks it in. There, that one's, and it only takes a little bit of a turn. It doesn't take much. There. There. And the cams are here, here, and here, up here. And everything is locked in place there. So step 2 is finished. I have the one edge on each of the doors. So now we're going to move on to step 3, which is, it appears we're still working on the doors. So I'm going to get all the pieces laid out and get that done, and then I'll show that to you. We've got these two little pieces here for the step. This is 5 and 6, and they go on the back of the door. I need these two. I need 4 of these little D dowels, and then these are the G screws. I had to have 4 of those. So now the back of the door has on it, it has this sticker here that says front. And on here, there's a sticker that says front. On here, on the back of this page, right here, it says front, and it tells you the sticker on the door and the sticker on the top of that piece. And they have to be on the same side with the hinges here to make sure that this is going the right direction. Okay, and I did the first one already. I got the dowels in place, and the dowels are in there holding it on, and I'm going to put the screws in there. So we'll do that really quickly. This is not hard to put together. It is actually turning out to be, so far it's not bad. As I read the directions, I had to like read them and look at them to make sure that I had things laid out straight there, and that I had the right pieces, you know. So that one is done. So now we're gonna do the other one. I have the 2 dowels. I'm gonna put those in the holes on the board. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna make sure that my sticker is lined up on the same side, you know. So there, those are in. Now we'll put this in. I don't know what I would do without a drill. I have had carpal tunnel surgery on both of my hands. Let me just tell you, this is not a chore to do with a manual screwdriver after you've had carpal tunnel surgery. Not a good idea. So, okay, so that step is done. That's step 3. And actually, I was looking in the front of the manual, and it said 90 minutes, and I'm like, 90 minutes? I don't know about that, but maybe a couple hours. So now step 4, we got to look at the runners for the drawers. These must be sides. Oh, maybe they're the sides of the cabinet. I thought they were doors, because they looked like doors to me, but they must be the sides of the cabinet, because these are the runners, and those pieces we just put on are the mounts for the runners. So I'm gonna get organized and do this, and then. So I'm looking at the runners for what looks like the drawer in the center, and now you got to pay attention, because this says 1 left. These are part R. You have 1 left and 1 right, and then the other one you have 1 left and 1 right. And if you notice, this one goes the opposite direction, and these, the wheels are opposites, so I laid them out. They have a wheel here at the top, and then they have a wheel at the bottom, and that's what I have here. You can lay it right next to it and match them up. A wheel at the top, a wheel at the bottom, and then here we have a wheel on this side and the little wheel on this side, and that's what we have here. A wheel on that side and a wheel on that side at the top. It's very important to make sure that as you go and you're working with these parts, that you pay attention, because when I did my last project, which was my coffee bar, and now it's in my laundry room, I put those on wrong. I remember that because I was so frustrated, because I had the cabinet put together and I realized that they were wrong. It was really difficult to change them out without taking the cabinet apart, and I didn't know if I could even do that at that point. So, but I got it, but the drawer doesn't close right now because I put the parts on wrong initially, and then I think I messed the cabinet up, like aesthetically, like it's off now, because I had to take those off and fix them. So just be mindful of that. It's worth a mention that you need to pay attention to how these are laid out and how they're going to go on. So now I'm going to go ahead and put these on. Okay, using the screws E, and then apply these to the top of this. Okay, so I got the first pieces for the drawer, which I think that's what it is, on the side of the cabinet. And the next step that we have to do, we are going to assemble the little magnetized door closures on this, which I believe is a piece of frame, part 10. So that's what we're going to do, and that's pretty straightforward. 2 screws and putting your little piece on there. One thing worth mentioning with this little part, it has a little slot there where your screws go, and excuse me, you don't want to put those screws in super tight. One thing is because this is plastic, and once you break it, you're off to the hardware, so don't do that. And the second thing is, it probably will need to be adjusted once you get the door in place, so that it closes. You might have to adjust it out or back so that the door closes evenly, which I have had to do in the past. So it's in there just loosely for now. So that's something to keep in mind. So that's step 6. So step 7 appears to be a little bit more complicated. We're starting to put together the body of the cabinet, is what it looks like to me, with cams, parts 7, 8, and 9, and cams and dowels. This looks like it's something that I'm probably going to have to show you when I get done. So let's see what we got here. Okay, we need 7, 8, and 9. So now I have 3 of 7. This is part 7. And I have 2 parts 9, and part 8 is a larger board that is over here. Right here. 2 of them. I have 2 of them. Yeah, wants me to use 1, 8, 1, 9, and 2 of 7 for this side. So this is 8. Okay, so we're gonna do this, and I'll show you what it looks like. So I went ahead and did 2 steps. I put the piece together on its side, and then I had to put the other piece on the top to secure it so I could stand it up. So this is what it's looking like. This is either the top or the bottom. I'm not sure yet because there's a drawer in the center. So I'm assuming it's the bottom because there's the drawer runners right there. So we'll see. So we're moving on to step 10, which looks like, or I'm sorry, step 9. Step 9, which looks like the back. There's like cardboard pieces that are painted white that go on the back, and I'm assuming that that's what that is. So I'm gonna collect the backing pieces and we'll have a look at those. Okay, so it's laying on its side because I put this top on, and then I had to put the back pieces on. So this piece slides in here. This is 13, slides in there, and the back is all on, and it's actually starting to look like a cabinet. So it's not, a cabinet you would go and buy at a furniture store. You need to keep that in mind. But for what it is and getting it in a box and having to put it together, I mean, it's nice so far. I do have one spot in the back where I had a cam in. I had to put the cam in, and then I had to screw the specific screw, turn the cam. As soon as I turned the cam, I had a small crack in the back. I think when they drilled it, the drill got off a little bit and it got too close, and so the back got real thin. But it's okay. I just tightened it down, and yeah, it's starting to look like a cabinet. So let me see. When we last looked at the manual, we were on step 9, which was putting the 2 small pieces of the back on. I then put cams and screws in I think the shelf, the bottom shelf of the top. And then I moved on to step 11, and I installed that on the top of the cabinet. Then I flipped it over and put 13 in to finish the back. And so I mean, I don't know, this might be the bottom, like the bottom part, you know, so when you stand it up. Anyway, I know you're not stupid. I don't know what I'm saying. So, yeah, I'm looking at it now, and there's hinges right there. So this is the top portion. And so we're going to work on that. So this is step 13. Hard to believe we're getting closer. Step 13. Okay, so we need parts 14, 15, 16, and 17, and then all the associated pieces. So I'm going to gather all those together and we'll have a look at that. So I completed steps 13 and 14. These are a rinse and repeat of the previous ones when we were working on the sides of the cabinet. They went together the same way. This is the end with the hinge on it, and this is the side of the cabinet. All the steps were exactly the same as the first set for 14 and 15. And then this is piece 9 that has the magnetized piece on it. I went ahead and put that on. So now we are moving on to the next step, which is very similar to what we did before when we put all the upright pieces on and started assembling the cabinet. Now I think we're assembling the top half. So we need pieces 7, 8, cams, and dowel rods, and then we're gonna start assembling this unit. So I'm gonna go ahead and work through step 16, probably 17, and then we will circle back around. So we're up to step 17, and we'll take a look at that. This is the, I believe, the upper portion of the cabinet, and I have the sides on and the top on. Now bear in mind the hinges are facing the same direction. Be mindful. And of this piece right here. Now this down here has an indicator here the way it goes on, but you just want to make sure that this is facing out, that your magnet is facing the right direction. If it's not, flip it around now before you get it inside so you're not standing on your head trying to fix it. So we are up to step 17. Now the next step, step 18, is putting the back pieces on here, which looks to me is pretty much the same as what I did before. And this little U-piece, this little plastic U-piece, has slots on both sides, and that is to hold your smaller back pieces together. I have seen older cabinets where they didn't have that, and they were flip-flopping back and forth, and they would break and crack because there was nothing to hold them together. That's a nice upgrade to that type of cabinet. And then we're gonna put the back pieces on, and then we're gonna add the next shelf unit and finish the top portion of the cabinet. So I'm going to work on that, and then we'll be back and have a look at that. Now when I assemble it, when I finally stack it and put it together, which I've got a little ways to go yet, I'm going to put it in my laundry room, and we're going to move in there, and I'm going to stack it in there because of the weight. And I figure if I got to put it together, I'm going to do it in there so that I don't have to drag it in there and mar it all up afterwards. So I'm going to work on these and start on step 18. Okay, so we have the cabinet section, the bottom cabinet section here, all put together, and I am going to put the bottom on. I believe this is the bottom, and then we'll flip it back over. So I worked through several steps. I put the back on, which is that right there. We put this piece together and put that on, which is the bottom of the cabinet. It looks like, oh, that's the bottom. This is the middle. I'm sorry. It gets all turned around looking at it. I don't know. We'll get there. So, we'll get there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this piece on. It's piece 19. If you have this Wayfair cabinet, it's piece 19. And I need one of those, and I need 4 of the H screws and 4 of the I dowels. And again, here's one of those little pictures giving you an indicator. I used one of the D dowels finally on the last section, and then this time I need 4 of the I's and the H screws. Man, them H screws, they're giants. Look at those things. Those are some wicked screws, boy. When I put those in, it went, yo. I guess that's what they're for, stability. So, okay, I'm going to work through step 22, and it looks like our next step is to assemble the cabinet. Yay! So we're almost to the point where I'm going to have to set the top onto the bottom. I'm a little concerned about that because it's kind of heavy. I don't know. I'm going to try. I mean, I've done crazy stuff before, so. But there's one thing that I think is worth mentioning, just a little something, that if you have this cabinet, when you're doing step 22, I'll show you here in the book, in the manual. Step 22 calls for the I dowel rods to go right there. Okay? Now they're pretty long dowel rods, and I put them in and I was like, is that right? So I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so this is the piece I just put on, and these are the I dowel rods. Now they go in to this part down here, and then you put this on top and they poke up through, and I'm like, so, but what it is that I think that, you know, because the top sits on here, so because this is the bottom part, this is the bottom piece, and that's the top piece. So yeah, I thought that was worth mentioning because I scratched my head for a second and I looked back at my book and I'm like, did I do something wrong? Is there something messed up here? But I don't think so. I think that it helps hold it together. So just worth mentioning. Coming right along. 23 is done, and I'll show you 24. So this is step 24, and this is putting it together, and you can see the cams go in here, and this is where the dowels are right here, and I think they'll just fit into the holes. And you still have to add C dowels to that. I got a couple more holes there to fill. And then these G screws, they go in from the bottom. You got to screw them up from the bottom of the cabinet. That's what I had to do for the other part, for another part. So I'm gonna take it in there and try and put it together. Okay, so this is my laundry room area in my house, and it's going to go right there. Okay, I've cleared all this out. I did a bunch of rearranging, moved all my trash and all my stuff down. Now this cabinet right here, this is one of the other ones that I put together when I moved in this house. It's a nice little cabinet, and it was a coffee bar. Those are really super deep drawers. It's got this drawer here on top, and then it's got these deep drawers here, and it's shelving, and it has towel bars on each end. And then this guy over here, this is a much bigger one, and this was in my laundry room, but it was a total waste of space and cabinet space. Aren't these beautiful? Really nice silver, and it's got lots of space in here in these shelves. Can move up and down. I got these from Home Depot, both of them, and they came boxed, and they have a nice countertop on them, and they're on wheels. Both of them are on heavy duty wheels, and I don't lock them or anything, and I can just roll them around. I rolled them out here and switched them around, and because I was making room for my cabinet. So it's gonna go right there. I'm gonna get all this stuff I'm going to move these boxes and drag it in here and see if I can put it on one piece on top of the other, and we'll see how it works out. Wish me luck. I got it together, and it was a balancing act. And I do have two tiny little marks where the screws that go into the cams were rubbing the side, because I had trouble getting it because it was wanting to go and get it straight. So here it is. There it is. I got the outside all put together. Oh, I'm so excited. Look at that. It fits that space perfectly. Perfectly. So I got the drawer in place, and it's okay. It's not a perfect fit, but it's pretty close. And I think it's the materials and the workmanship, because this cabinet only cost me like $260, I want to say, something like that. I could put the actual amount below here when I look it up. But, and I've got the doors ready to go on, so let's take a look at that. So these are the doors to go on the cabinet, and I'll show you the drawers here. See, it's a pretty small opening, but that's okay. I'm not sure what I'm going to put in there yet, and you could tell when you open it, it's a little wobbly, but it's rolling nice on the rollers that I put on there. And so we are moving on to this step, which is technically, other than putting the shelves in place, this is our last step, and then just setting the shelves where I want them. So these little guys are what go up here in the top corner to hit your magnets. And this is your opportunity to adjust your magnets when you get ready to go and you get it figured out. That's what these are for. And then, so we're gonna screw the doors onto these hinges, and you got your magnet up here that you can adjust. And then, that's that. So I am going to put the doors in place and get the magnet adjusted if it needs to be adjusted, and we'll go from there. As I'm looking at this, just to be mindful that this is what you want your hinge to look like when your door is on. So you're going to open this up. You're gonna put your door on the outside here, so that when this is closed, all you see is the hinge. Now what I did was I put one screw in the top and one screw in the bottom to hold it, so that I could put the other two screws in place, and then my little magnetized thing will go up here, and that should hold the door closed, and that's what it'll look like, all four of them, when they're done. So the top doors are in place. They look nice. The only thing that I can see about this, I mean, they line up really beautifully right there, and they line up nicely at the bottom, all the way around. They're just a smidge, like, oh gosh, probably almost nothing off up there at the top. But this cabinet, you know, it could have used an extra piece down here with a second magnet, because that magnet is grabbing just fine. I'm not having to adjust it. But they just kind of, watch. See? If it had a second magnet at the bottom, it would be a very secure closure. And it would help keep things from falling out on the bottom. But not a deal breaker for what I paid for it, and it fits my space. So we're going to put the bottom doors on. So the doors are all on. Everything seems to fit good. I didn't have to adjust the magnets at all. I may move that magnet out just a little bit because it's grabbing, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the strength of the magnets, but we'll see. So that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to put the shelves in, and then this will be a done deal. Okay, so the shelves are in, and this has one permanent shelf here, and then this shelf is adjustable, and it has 3 adjustments that you can make. And then this one down here has one permanent shelf, and then again the second shelf is adjustable with 3 ways to be able to do that. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this kind of review as we go, put together, not necessarily instructional, but more informative, of a Wayfair pantry cabinet. And I got this off of their website. I found them through Facebook, and I've been thinking about looking at Wayfair for a while. And I did look a little at first because I've been looking for a storage solution for my kitchen for a while, probably ever since I moved in, a year. And then I came across this. You know, when you start searching on Google, then things really start popping up. So yeah, I'm happy with it, and I think it turned out pretty good. And I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you will share this video with any of your friends that you think might be interested, that might be looking for a pantry cabinet, or maybe even, is it difficult to put one together? No, it's not difficult. And it's not difficult. It's not too daunting. I mean, when you take all the pieces out of your boxes and you've got like 50 some pieces and you're like, and a huge box of hardware, just take your time. Lay the pieces out, lay them in numeric order, make sure everything's there. Give yourself time. Like today's Saturday, it's 20 after 1, and I started about 9, maybe 8:30, right around in there somewhere. So it was a solid 3.5 hours. And this 90 minutes they put in here, that's crazy. But, you know, I was videoing and talking to you and all the things, so that makes a difference too, right? So, yeah, just take your time, follow the instructions, make sure you have all your parts, and it'll come together. You may have to do it in 2 days. You may have to lay it all out one day, give you time to wrap your brain around it and sit down, look at your book, have a cup of coffee, and then come back the next morning and put it together. That's, you know, whatever works for you. But like I say, this is my 3rd or 4th cabinet like this that I've put together, and it gets easier and easier the more you do it. You definitely need a drill. Definitely need a drill. And a hammer, because there was like a couple of times I had to tap in the cams because the hole was not quite right. And a couple times I had to tap down in the dowels because they didn't go in far enough, because there was probably something down there in the bottom of the hole. So yeah, it's a good cabinet. And one thing I discovered when I put the shelves in, the first shelf on top, when I first put it in, the door wasn't closing right. And I'm like, this is weird. What's going on? There was a bigger gap between the top doors. So I took the shelf out, turned it around, and put it back in. Now they close. Something about the way that top shelf went in. It didn't say it had a front and a back. But, so I mean, don't be discouraged. You know, sometimes it takes a little ingenuity to make the magic happen. So, this is Annette, also known as Grandma D, saying I hope you have a wonderful day today and a better day tomorrow. And know that I think about you, I love you, and I care about you. And I hope you're well. So that's all we have for today. That's a wrap. And I'll see you next time on the YouTubes. You have a great day. Bye-bye for now.